Hey guys, so this is really exciting because this is the 100th episode, and I'm here with Asal Dean, who is a wellness burnout coach. And she brought the idea of doing my 100th episode with an interview about me. So she's going to interview me, and the tables are going to be turned.
Yes,
So this is going to be an exciting, fun episode, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. Thank you for being here.
thank you so much for inviting me and for being open to this different yet neat idea. As your friend, it's been so lovely to see how this podcast experience has evolved for you since day one. I remember when you wanted to talk about when you were talking about creating such an experience and to share with the world what artists are about and their stories and to create a supportive community. And you've done that. And I think we all can take a moment to acknowledge you for that. So thank you. And it's an honor to have an opportunity to interview you.
Thank you. And thank you for being so supportive, because it's because of all my loving and supporting friends and family who have been behind me that, when you have your cheerleaders there, it
Mhm.
makes it so much more enjoyable and fun. And
Yeah,
thank you.
of course. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm curious, can you tell us about a moment or series of moments that sparked you to get into the action of picking up a paintbrush and starting your art?
So when I look back, there's
Mhm.
three very significant stages in my life
Okay.
where art came into my life and really made an impact. I remember being 8, and my teacher, Miss Galan, she was an artist, and she introduced the world of art to me and opened up a whole new world that I wasn't
Mhm.
really aware of.
Mhm.
And my mom saw this spark in me, and she asked the teacher to give me more art lessons on the side and
Wow.
during the summer. So that was the first stage. And the second, I was around 14, and I was at my mom's friend's house, and her daughter had done this. She was, I think, 2 years older than me, and she
Okay.
had done this painting of a white cat, of a furry white cat. And I was intrigued by this painting, and I
Okay.
just stared at it as if it was
Mm.
like this Monet painting in a museum. And that was a moment where, like, the sky opened up. And I was like, oh.
Oh, okay. Tell us more about that. What do you mean by that?
So I was so inspired by this young girl and what she did with
Hmm.
art.
Hmm.
And I wanted to know who her teacher was, and I wanted to go to that teacher.
Mm.
And I told my mom that, you know, I saw a couple of her paintings on the walls, and I was so inspired by them that I wanted to learn
Hmm.
what she was learning.
Mm.
And so my mom said, yeah, absolutely. And at the time, we lived about 30, 40 minutes away from this teacher. And my mom, without even blinking, like, and she was full time. She worked full time, but she was there for us and whatever we were passionate about. And she would drive 30, 40 minutes. Sometimes there was traffic to
Mm.
LA because we lived in the South Bay. We lived by the beach, and she would drive and go all the way there and back. And at one point, he moved all the way to the valley, and she would drive all the way to the valley, which was another like 30 minutes away.
Wow.
And yeah, that started when I was 15, and he was an amazing Iranian Persian teacher.
Okay.
And yeah, Mr. Torbati, I'll never forget him. And he was just so kind and loving and just so patient.
Mm.
And I learned so much from him. And then I got, went to college, took some courses in art, but I never pursued it because of the fear of, I don't know, that I'm not going to make it as an artist or an art teacher, doesn't make enough money. So I put that aside, went into the medical field, became a recreational therapist. And then I got married, had kids, became a stay-at-home mom. And then things started to just happen without me even trying, which made me realize the importance of letting go and allowing things to happen that are meant to happen in your life,
Okay.
being open to receiving it. I had a friend who came over one day to my house and saw the paintings on my walls, and she said, Cheryl, would you be interested in teaching a group of kids? And I said, I don't know, I guess. She's like, your art's amazing. You could teach. And I'm like, really? I've never done it before. And she said, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I'm going to set up a group for you of kids from my son's school. Okay. And then my husband was like, what are you going to teach? How are you going to do this? I said, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And she set it up, a group of like 8 kids, and a lot of them were boys, and it was really challenging. But I did it, and I came up with great lessons. And yeah, I struggled here and there, but it just turned into something so beautiful where eventually I had like 40 students, and like I was teaching art nights, and I had all these moms coming to me who needed that escape
Mm.
from, being a mom, and they needed to relax and have that wine and just create and not worry.
Mm-hmm.
And, and other things happen like working with you, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
And then another artist came into my life, and she came to my house one day. She was doing henna tattoo, and she saw my work on the walls and asked me, is that your artwork? And I said, yeah. And she said, have you ever thought of becoming a professional artist? And I was like, no, not at all. Like, I just thought she
Mm.
was crazy. And we became friends. We exchanged numbers. And I saw she was an international artist. And I was amazed by her and her work, and I was inspired again.
Mm.
And then a light switch went off. And this was like 2 years after I became a art teacher. So when I became the art teacher, I was around 33.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and this was about 35 when I had my daughter. And I I was in I was inspired in so many ways
Okay.
to start creating again. It was like this light switch went on, and I couldn't stop. And
This was
I,
after the henna
yeah,
professional had.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. And, you know, her name's Brooke Harker, and she really mentored me. And to this day, she still does. And she's been guiding me. And she just kept telling me, Cheryl, just keep painting. Because I was like, I don't know what my style is. I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm.
Well, what am I supposed to do? And she just said, just keep painting, just keep
Wow.
going.
Wow.
Yeah. And now I'm here.
That's awesome. That is so cool that you have these walking angels seeing your talent and recognizing it and saying something to you to get you to be in action. Like, and so early on in your childhood, from your mom being your biggest supporter to these random individuals coming into your home and seeing the potential that you didn't see, but they saw it in you.
Yeah, and I love how you phrase that, walking angels, because they
Yeah.
really are. Like they're these guides that come into your life, and if you're open to seeing it and receiving it,
Mm-hmm.
miracles happen. And this
Mm-hmm.
was 10 years ago where Brooke came into my life, over 10 years. And, where my friend also Fariba, she was the one, her, she was the one who encouraged me to start teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. What a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Second question I have is one of my favorite aspects of your work are the body art sessions. So, what was your inspiration to start body art? And there's a couple of questions that are tied into this concept. What were you expecting from such work, and how did you think it would evolve all these years that you've been doing it? And what are your thoughts on where it's going next?
So I was on Facebook and I saw this artist
Okay.
who did just this beautiful body art where she would paint the whole body and then the background and the furniture. And it just looked like they were just one big painting coming to
Okay.
life.
Okay.
And I was just so inspired by it. I want to do something myself, but with my own spin.
Okay.
I didn't want to copy what she was doing, but I want to do something that meant a lot to me. And uh, I asked my two friends who were yoga instructors to be my models. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I would have to make a background and I would paint them. And I had my husband's camera,
That's
his
awesome.
Canon camera, and I would figure it out along the way. And I asked them and they agreed. And I asked them because I love yoga and I
Mhm.
wanted to do a yoga inspired series.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And so I painted up the background and I made it look like a lotus, and it was very colorful lotus in the background. And then we did it in my friend's yard, and it was like it was pretty big the way I created the background, and I also created the bottom of it, painted the bottom,
Okay.
and I painted them to go with the background. And then they did these different yoga poses. And it turned out so beautiful. And just, I don't know, it was like this rush, you know? Oh,
Mhm.
like I've never been very athletic, but you hear about athletes who get this adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
That's what I felt afterwards. And even my friend after was like, oh my gosh, Cheryl, that was so cool. That was the best experience. This is going to go far. You should keep doing it. And I was like, really? She's like, yes. And then we saw the photos on the computer and I began to post them, which was really hard for me to do in the beginning because it was something unusual.
Mm.
And I come from the Iranian culture, which we're more traditional in our approach to art,
Yes, I could relate to that.
right? And it's
Yeah,
kind of like
absolutely.
we're put in this box of
Hmm.
how we should be and how our art
Hmm.
should be or how
Hmm.
our career should be.
Yes.
And so this was really getting out of my comfort zone to be like, no, I don't want it to be like that.
Hmm.
I want it to be an expression of me and who I am as a person. And this makes me feel alive again.
Mm.
I had three kids at that point, and it was really challenging and at times very draining. And I lost myself in the process of being a mother, a stay-at-home mom, which I just give so much credit to moms out there after being a mom. It's one of the hardest, most challenging jobs, and I love my kids. But it was nice to have Cheryl back again and to express myself in that way.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it started this spark in me. And then I later began to realize why, as I began to do it more and more, I began to realize why.
Okay.
You know, first of all, when you're painting by yourself, it's art can be so like lonely at times. You're just with the
Mm-hmm.
canvas,
Mm-hmm.
a solitary, type of thing. But when you are with that person, you're talking to them, you're engaging, you're learning about them, you're feeling their energy, and that energy is going on to their body. Whatever I'm feeling, it's coming on to their skin, their body. And so I'm feeling things from them, their
Oh,
emotions,
wow.
and from their words.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. I
Yeah.
just have to say, they as participants also feel what you're giving. And I only say this because I've done sessions with you, and it's an incredible, incredible experience. For those of you who haven't and are interested, I highly, highly recommend
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, going back to
Yeah, and then I remember seeing a documentary about Buddhist monks who create
Mm,
these gorgeous sand mandalas, and
mm,
they spend hours on them and they put in their prayers and their love and I mean intricate work. And then they get a little broom and sweep it away and put it into a jar. And they take that sand and put it into a nearby river so those prayers could go out into the
mm,
world, that good energy and
mm,
prayers could go into the
mhm,
world. And it has to do with the impermanence of everything in life. Like nothing is
mm,
forever.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I began to relate that to my work because at first I was shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're just like messing that work up, like that beautiful art piece. It's
mhm,
gone.
mhm,
But that's not the point. It's the fact that, you create something and it's about the process and
okay.
being in that moment and enjoying
Mhm,
that moment. So when I am with a person, I
mhm,
want to be in the moment with them. I want them to be in the moment.
mhm,
And it's also teaching them that, hey, this is going to be gone. Like all that work and everything we just created right now together,
mhm,
you're going to have to wipe it all off. And it's
mm,
hard for some. They're like, I don't want to take this off. And they'll leave it on all day.
mhm,
But that's part of life. And that's what I
mm,
like to show in with art and not to be too attached to things in life and to our work.
mhm,
It's there to give us healing and love and happiness and joy, and then it's gone. And that's
mm,
okay.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So,
Give, oh,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was going to say, given what you just shared now and the the beautiful concept of impermanence, that life is always in changing, we're in constant motion, right?
Right.
Where do you see this where do you see this journey going for you with the body art sessions?
So, I'm hoping that it's just going to continue growing
Okay.
and that more people will be open to the experience because
Okay.
it looks a little like, I don't know if I want someone to do this art on me and I don't know what I'm going to look like. It's like letting go and
Mm-hmm.
allowing the artist to create and
Mm,
not being afraid of what's going to happen. Again, just enjoying that process
mhm,
and reaching more people. I want more people to see this and experience it and to come to me. And, for women to heal whatever it is that they have gone through art. Some
mhm,
women who have had like problems conceiving. And then they have said, I couldn't wait to come and do this with you when I got pregnant.
mm,
Because I've done several women who have been pregnant, and we've done pregnancy body art shoots. And it was just so special for me to hear that, and it's a vulnerable space to be in.
mm.
So it's always such an honor to do that. So I'm hoping it's going to grow and reach and expand, and more people could see it and experience it. And
Yeah,
um, even if they don't come do it themselves, to be touched by it in some way by seeing the photos and
yeah.
seeing what I put out there.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
The next thing that I'm very, very curious to hear about, because I can relate to this, where this has been a very unique journey for you. I think we all experience unique journeys, especially when we pursue our passion or what lights up our soul, or what lights us up in general. So the question is, what is the advice you would tell yourself as an artist when you first started on your journey?
Not to get discouraged so easily when
Okay.
someone says no or rejects your work.
Okay. So not being attached to that.
Yeah. And to just keep going and being consistent and not worrying about what your style is.
Okay.
That when you just keep creating, and that's why I do like a lot of the journeys, I like the 100-day journeys that I've
Mhm,
done these
mhm,
past couple of years.
mhm,
The reason why I do them is because when I have the practice of sitting in front of the easel or the piece of paper every single day, something comes out of it.
mm,
And a different style might come out of it, or different brush strokes, or different ideas. And it's just showing up. That's
mm.
the main thing. And that's what I would tell myself. Just keep showing up and don't overthink.
So going with the flow and being consistent.
Yeah.
And that is what you've been doing
Yes,
all
yes.
these years. How many years has it been now?
Since I started, about 11 years.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. That is incredible. That's awesome. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, when I was younger, I wasn't consistent at all, and I would
Mhm.
give up easily. That's the
Mm,
one thing I would beat myself up over, that why can I can't finish what I started, and why do I would beat myself up over it instead of just starting that project and finishing it, or being like,
yeah.
okay, you didn't finish that. That's okay. Let's
Mhm.
try this.
Okay.
So don't beat yourself up over not finishing something or like failing. Just start the next project and finish that. Even if it's just like, if it takes you 3 days to do, just make it, set it in your mind that I am going to finish this no matter what.
That was actually a follow-up question I had. When you early on, when you did experience the no's or the rejections, or just not having the fuel to finish something, did you have any tools to overcome those minor or major hurdles?
Yeah, I mean, I remember going into a gallery once. My friend told me, go to this gallery and see if, they'll consider your work. And I showed him my work, and he was like, no, we don't um, have paintings like that at our gallery, or take paintings like that. And I was like, okay. But then they invited me to a showing, gallery showing, and I went, and it was the owner's brother or partner who was there, and we were talking to him, and he's like, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm an artist." And he's like, um, "Oh, everyone in this city, I'm in I live in LA, is an artist." And years ago, I would have just, um,
Mm,
I don't know, kind of, how do you say, like become
shriveled up.
shriveled up. Yeah, like just and gone to the corner and wouldn't have
Okay.
said anything. I
Okay.
was a very shy person.
Okay.
But after years of working on myself and
Yeah.
becoming more confident,
Yeah.
I stood up taller and I looked him straight in the eye and I said, and I put my chest out and I said, "No, you know
Awesome.
what? I am an artist." And
Mm.
he just backed off. He didn't say, like, it was amazing. It was the
That's
first time
awesome.
I really stood up for myself. And I was like, I'm not going to take this. No, I am an
Mm,
artist and I deserve to call myself that after all these years of working on it.
mm,
It's not a hobby. So I feel like when you're faced with those people who tell you, the naysayers, that no,
mm,
this is not for you, or you're not
mhm,
that, you're not this.
mhm.
Having the confidence yourself, you're the one, you're your best advocate. No one
Okay.
else. You can't rely on anyone else to tell you
Mhm.
whether you're good or you're bad. Like, I get comments on Instagram now, a lot more now, like of people who don't agree, or, they'll just make some not nice comment.
Okay.
It doesn't affect me. It used to, but I'm at the
Okay.
point where, like, even the good comments, I'm like, oh, nice. Okay. Next, keep creating.
Mm,
I don't care. I don't care if people think my art is the most beautiful or the most, like, weird and ugly. I love it. I enjoy it. It gives me life. It gives me joy. And if it's giving that to other people, that's what lights me up.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That is something for all the new and current artists who are listening, to hold on to that, because it's true. When you're in it, sometimes you feel like your world might just be crumbling because you feel defeated by what others are telling you, or the feedback that you receive. But staying true to yourself and staying consistent and continuing to create, I think you become your biggest cheerleader. You become your
Yeah,
biggest advocate.
absolutely. 100%.
Thank you for sharing that, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Why this podcast? Why did you start it?
So I wanted to create a platform for other artists and creatives and
Mm,
healers to have a place to talk about their work.
okay.
I feel like, especially with artists, they hide behind the canvas, um, and maybe just show photos of their work and don't really go on camera because a lot of us are introverts.
Okay.
So I wanted to create a safe space where
Mm,
they could share their work and why they started and who they are, and if they had any limiting beliefs, and to show other creatives that we're all the same. We're all going through this.
yeah.
We feel like we're the only ones and we feel very lonely.
Mm,
And when we first start, or when we're going through it. And I just want to
mhm,
show you're not alone. And there's so
mhm.
many resources out there. That's why I bring on the healers and the coaches, and because
Mm,
that's what I had. I had those tools to get me where I am today. Yeah.
yes. And that, and on that note, the idea of self-care
Yes.
and creating that supportive community, because sometimes your friends or your family, and I'm not saying this for you, but just in general, you may not get that support from the individuals that support you in other areas of your life.
Yes.
And so to look for those individuals who are either your cheerleaders or who give you insight, who give you guidance, who hold you accountable, who acknowledge you for the milestones that you are experiencing throughout your journey, I think is so important. And it's such a gift that you have opened this platform to allow those types of individuals who support, for example, artists and artists themselves, to share their story, to share where they come from, to share what they have to offer. And I think it's a neat experience to connect people that you don't even know where those connections are happening. It may happen outside of your podcast too, but you're creating that type of exposure and opportunity for people to just openly and safely share.
Yes. And, I've interviewed some of my friends who are artists, and there are things I learn about them that I never knew. Oh, I didn't know that. And we've been friends for years. And I'm like, that is amazing. And everybody wants to be heard.
Yes.
We're in a world where everyone talks and talks and talks, and they don't really listen. We don't listen enough. And when we listen more and we show interest and we're curious about the other person, it's beautiful. And you see you've made a new friend because you just listened.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
hope that in the upcoming years, more and more individuals will take on the opportunity to be interviewed by you so that you can share their stories and provide different outlets of connection for the listeners as well.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Okay, given that you have connected with so many people throughout the years as an artist, the last 11 years specifically, what are you grateful for about your art and the art community?
I am, well, I'm grateful for what art has done for me. I've been through some challenges, these past few years, just like all of us have. And I feel like art has been a great outlet, and it has been so healing, and it's been therapeutic. And whatever I've been going through, I just put it onto paper.
Okay.
And feel this sense of relief, and okay, it's not in me anymore, it's on that paper. And I tell people, if it's not painting, then you should try writing, journaling, or music, or gardening, something that allows you to let go of whatever is going on inside of you. So that, and the artist community, I'm so grateful for all the artists that I have met.
Okay.
Through something that my friend, again, Brooke, started Saturday Night Live art shows. And it was during COVID, March of 2020, when everything was shut down, and she wanted to use social media as a platform for artists to share their work.
Okay.
And so I tagged along with her and two of our other friends who were being consistent with sharing their work. And we just invited other artists, and it just grew into this worldwide community of artists.
Okay.
And it was just so beautiful, where now I have a friend who's an artist from Israel, and she came to visit recently, and an artist that I just interviewed from Mexico, and his art is just phenomenal. And just from different parts of the world, I'm meeting these artists that I wouldn't have met had it not been for COVID. And that we really have this beautiful bond and connection. And I always wanted an artist community where we supported each other, where it wasn't just, I feel like sometimes it becomes very like a competition. and again, being an artist can be very lonely. And
Mhm.
this created a community where we're not alone and we're cheering each other on and
Mhm.
we're supporting one another. We're not putting anyone down. And it's just loving. And that's what we really wanted to create. And you're just sharing your work. And a lot of artists have sold their work through this community. And
Wow, that's so cool.
yeah, and it's beautiful. And I love being a part of it.
Being part of a supportive community.
Yes, yes. And I feel like it could be in any work environment where you thrive in the places where you're
Mhm.
supported. And it's not just about
Mm,
competition and
yes,
being better. What
yes.
energy do you want to be in? What space do you want to be in? Where are you
Mm,
going to be a better version of you?
yeah.
And that's something to think about wherever you are in life. Um, how are you going to thrive?
Wow. And you have that community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was what I've been searching for because I always felt very intimidated by the artist community. They're so good, and I'm not going to be like them. And, um, just to go approach a gallery owner, or like I interviewed a gallery owner who, Michael Hayden, who was just such a pleasure. And he came over to my place.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, and just the sweetest man.
Hmm.
And years ago, I would have never had the nerve to ask a gallery owner to be on my podcast. But
Mm,
again, because I've worked on myself and my confidence, I was able
mm,
to get through that and to see, no, there are the good artists and gallery owners and, creatives out there who have the biggest heart. And he was just so kind. And um, it was just it was good for me to go through that experience and see, no, it's not all this way, that there is another world that is available for you.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for giving us insight to not only your personal experience of how your art serves you, but also how your community supports you and you all support one another. It, all I could visualize was like this little golden cloud of love and good energy and good vibes
Yes.
with a bunch of creatives in this cloud being part of a loving community.
Yes, yes. And then when I go to like one of my friends' gallery showings, they will grab my arm and introduce me to like the
Oh,
gallery owner or like to this artist, to that artist,
yeah.
like to be like, come, and you have to meet this person. And
Mm,
they're really excited to have you there, and I'm there to support them, yet they're
mhm,
also supporting me. And it's just,
mm,
but it's also um, surrounding yourself with the people who are right for you and who are there to
mhm,
build you up. And I feel like, especially as women, we need to learn to build each other up.
mhm,
There's so much competition with women and, with the way she might look or dress or her career or what she does.
mhm,
And instead of looking at her as like a competition, to look at her as your sister, your
mm,
friend, the person
mhm,
who might also lift you up in some way, and to give them a compliment, to give them a laugh or a flower. I remember going up to a mom in Trader Joe's, and I was supposed to do something in my coaching class. I was supposed to do something like challenging for that day or risky or out of my comfort zone. And I went up to a mom with her little kid who was kind of being a little fussy. And I knew that feeling.
Mm.
And so I had my bouquet of roses that I pick out every week, and I took one of the roses and I gave it to her. And
Mm.
she was just so happy. And then
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh, hey, aren't you Cheryl?" And I was like, "Yeah." She knew me from my sister-in-law. She was friends with her.
Okay.
She's like, "I'm so and so. Thank you so much." So it felt so good to me. It was more
Mhm.
selfish.
Okay, okay.
Like part of it was scary because I'm like, I don't know who this is and how she's gonna take this right now. It's a
Right.
complete stranger.
Yeah.
But it at the end it felt so good.
Okay.
And I feel like we need to do more of that, those little acts of kindness, because
Love and kindness. Yes.
we don't know what ripple effect, and that's what I feel with this podcast. It's like a
Mm.
ripple effect
Okay.
of goodness.
Mm. Got that. Thank you. Given what you just shared, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
So I want, especially in the Iranian community,
Hmm.
Persian women out there, to, I want to be seen as the woman who got out of her comfort zone and tried something new and different. And I want others to do the same, and not to keep yourself in that box.
I can relate to that. Yes.
Yeah, to take those risks,
Mm.
to, even if it's scary, if you're somewhere where you're not very happy or it's not fulfilling, it's
Mhm.
okay. There's
Mhm.
always another option. I'm not saying like quit your day job and just become, um, I don't know, a writer or a poet. I mean, do what you're doing,
Yeah.
and then also do the other thing that gives you passion and life and really makes you happy, and
Mhm.
then see where that goes.
Mhm.
But do the things that really make you shine and make you feel good about life.
Mm.
It's not long. And so I want one day a woman in our culture, especially because we could be so like confined
Okay.
and put in these containers, to see me and to want to break free and, fly, spread their wings.
Mm. That is so beautiful. I believe I'm a flying soul,
You are.
as are you.
You are very much so.
And thank you. Thank you. And given who we are and what we are about and the connection we have as friends, we've also had the opportunity to work together multiple times and we continue to do so. I wanted to ask you, what have you enjoyed about us working together? And what is also your favorite part about collaborating with other creatives such as myself?
Well, first of all, I loved how we met, and I don't believe in accidents.
Mhm.
And it really was meant to be. And I loved our collaboration and doing the gratitude and artwork, and working with Living Beauty, which
Mhm.
is an organization that helps women who are going through cancer or who have gone through it, and having those workshops for them. It helped me see, you gave me another perspective on how to teach art,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
because I thought it was, again, I was in that box where it was art and wine
Mm.
night,
Mhm.
just teaching kids, right? Which all of that is wonderful and beautiful.
Yeah.
This gave me a whole new, richer meaning to
Okay.
what I could do with my art, and that it could have multiple layers to it, and it
Mm.
can heal people, and it can bring them this comfort and something more special
Mhm.
that I didn't think I could give, that I didn't think I had in me to do. So I'm really grateful we met because you opened my eyes to another world of what I could do with art. And so I love collaborations. I mean, it's and collaborating with people, with my body art and like photographers I've worked
Mhm.
with the podcast and getting to know people and
Mhm.
learning from them.
Mhm.
And I'm I'm always, I feel like it's always important to be the student and to be curious, again, be
Mhm.
curious, that curiosity, and to want to learn more. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us, to be vulnerable and open about some of your personal challenges, for sharing your superpowers of consistency and being committed to your word and what you want to create. Also for your generosity of supporting others and creating such a loving and bright community of artists and healers and creatives through the physical art community that you have and also this podcast. I am so honored to be not only your friend, but to also be like a collaborator with you and also a participant in your body art sessions. Again, for those of you who have not done one, they are incredible. And I'm not just saying this because I'm Cheryl's friend. It's when she was talking about, when you were talking about
Mm.
the healing and the feelings during those sessions, I can second that very, very powerfully. And lastly, I really do want to acknowledge you for not only being a mother, but also being someone who is truly such a strong inspiration in this world. It's a lot to come from the community that we come from, to speak your voice and to share your work and your creativity openly and honestly and in a very vulnerable and and sensitive way,
Yeah.
and to be a leader for women specifically. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that. And also for the opportunity to interview you. This was
Thank you.
so, so lovely. So thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much. I adore you, and I
Likewise.
couldn't have had a better person to interview me and to calm
I know
my
I love all the
nerves.
crazy ideas we share and we discuss, and then some of them come to life, and it's great.
I love this. It was a great idea. I loved it. That's why I love collaborating with you.
Yeah, happy 100th episode. This is
Thank you.
so, so cool.
Thank you.
The hours, the minutes, the days, the lessons that you've learned all along to get to this point. What an accomplishment.
Thank you, Asa.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Likewise, thank you so much.